These do not cost any resources up here. I just realized I have been blocking with my head this entire video. I have been blocking. Oh my god.
Shoot him, Kevin!
Hello everybody, I'm Roadblock. This is a Raid Shadow Legends video. If you're familiar with my content, you're going to notice I'm on the opposite side that I'm usually on my screen. I actually already recorded this. I spent 40 minutes into a recording before I realized my head was blocking all of the information I was giving you. Wonderful. So, let's talk about this video. This is a Clan Siege video, as you're going to know from whatever I name it and whatever the thumbnail is. But this video is going to primarily be focused on, or will only be focused on Clan Siege, and I'm talking about it from every angle. I'm going to approach it from a free-to-play account like this one, as well as from my main account, which is much further progressed and a little bit better geared and better champion roster. So I'm hoping to give insight to almost every possible player, except for probably those really, really top tier Clan Siege players. So in the past, I've made videos on Wixwell. That video, I received a lot of positive feedback. And despite the fact that I'm not the most knowledgeable person, I feel like I'm good enough at explaining my point of view and my experiences to you guys to say, hey, this is what I learned. This is how I learned it. And these are things that I did that you could avoid and I did that you could use to succeed. So that's the intent of the video. I hope that you enjoy. Without any further ado, let's get started. So the first thing I want to talk about is the rewards. A lot of people, including in my own clan and in my chat and in my comments, said, it ain't worth it. I'm not doing this. I don't care. The gear isn't that good. I can't get enough fragments. It's just a waste of my time. I disagree. First of all, I'm a very big fan of strategy. I love strategy. I love coming up with new ways to do things. I love playing real-time strategies, 4X strategy. Like, that's my wheelhouse, right? Obviously, I'm a Raid Shadow Legends content creator, but I still have games I love outside of Raid Shadow Legends, and those are usually the ones. So I am super excited about this mode, and it's been kind to me so far. As you can see, our score is pretty high. We'll talk about that in a little bit. But what I mainly want to talk about to start is the rewards, and to kind of quell some of those issues a lot of people have with it. So first of all, they boosted the rewards. Every tier will get 6-star gear, guaranteed. The lowest possible of which being epic. So you will get more of it at tier 5, and tier 6 will be mythical and more of it. So, obviously tier 6 is where you want to be. Probably going to be pretty hard to get up there, if I'm being honest with you. But, I'm happy in tier 3. In the chest at tier 3, we're getting more rewards. A different avatar than the one I saw in the Wood League. Which I call it Wood League because it's a wooden shield. So, and Wood League is an old joke. Well, I guess not maybe that old, but I don't know. I think it's a funny joke, so I'm gonna say it. I'm gonna keep saying it. Here, if we win the chest, we get accessories, 6-star accessories, also legendary, basically the same rewards except accessory version here in the victory chest. Awesome. Half of a primal shard, great. And then we get 350 clan gold, which I love. So very, very happy with the changes they made to the rewards. A couple of very, very important notes, and we'll talk about it more later. The first one, victory chests are awarded if your clan earns the most victory medals and destroys the enemy stronghold. You have to do both to win this chest. If you only do one and not the other, you do not get a chest. I don't like it. That's the way Plarium's doing it. Remember it, okay? Because if you don't, and you just ignore the stronghold, you're not going to get that chest, even if you outpoint them, right? So keep that in mind. Now, let's talk this part. You will only receive victory chests if you win at least one attack or defense battle during the siege. Mana Shrine rebattles do not count. We'll talk about Mana Shrines later. That means that you win an attack, obviously an attack or a defense. If you don't do that, you will not get a chest. This, it's controversial, but I understand it because I don't think they want like a free-to-play account, or not, maybe a free-to-play, but a really weak account, somebody that doesn't know the game, that's hiding behind a really strong clan and collecting these free rewards, right? I don't think they want that. But let's talk about the gear. Some people said the gear isn't that good. I wholeheartedly disagree. So let's come in here and take a look at the gear. Now, as I said before, I've already recorded this video, so I did level up a piece of gear for the video, which you can see right here. You know what? I'll get a chance to level up another piece of gear to prove my point. So let's talk about this gear. On face value, it is Perception Gear Plus, right? You have one piece is 40 accuracy, two piece is 5% speed. If we go to my Geomancer, who will be relevant here, that is the two-piece set for Perception. Perception is limited in how much you can get. You are limited by Faction Wars on how much you're able to craft of Perception. So this is another way, if you want to think about it in this way, another way to just get Perception gear, which is gear we all want. Speed and accuracy. Well, what do debuffers want to have? They want speed and they want accuracy. So it's right there, right? You're going to get it from the set. But there's another way that I want you to think about this gear, because you may be thinking, Perception, I've got plenty of Perception, Roadblock. I don't need any more. I don't know why you think this gear is good. Before I get into that, because I got off track just a hair, if you continue down, you do get block debuffs at the beginning of the round for 2 turns. Very good in arena, very good in wave content. If you're a little slower and they're going to take a turn, this can save you from some of those really nasty debuffs that you can get and just really screw up your runs. So love that. You also get a chance to prevent the polymorph sheep debuff. Again, this is only the sheep from polymorph. You can still get sheeped by Armands, but the one from polymorph may not proc, and it's a 50% chance to not proc. So they already have a % chance that it'll happen, and then if it does happen, there's a 50% chance that it won't happen that time. And then this one, allies deal 5% more damage per each debuff placed by the wearer. So if you had this particular 9-piece set on a champion with a bunch of debuffs, just in my example, only 2, but my team would do 10% more damage if he was in the full set. If Geomancer was in the full set, the allies on the team would do 10% more damage. So, because he places 2 debuffs. So there you go. But there's another thing, and I touched on this earlier, got ahead of myself. There's another part of the set that I want to talk about that I don't think people will think about. So this is more of a free-to-play perspective, or maybe not free-to-play, that's an unfair word, but a new player perspective on this gear. So as a new player, accuracy is hard to get. It's flat out is. You're going to have a hard time getting the accuracy that you need to accomplish most of the content in the game. So sets like Perception and accuracy and so on and so forth are very, very beneficial to you, but you have to have 2 pieces. And maybe you only have 1 piece. Or maybe, like this, you have a divine speed set here and a Perception set, but 2 what I call stat pieces, right? So I've got speed and accuracy on both of these pieces, right? But what if a piece like this could also give me 40 more accuracy on 1 piece? Let's just pretend for a minute that this resilience piece was a feral piece. We'll say all the stats are the same. It did have speed, it had accuracy, but then just 1 piece gives an additional 40 accuracy. Now you can see right here, this account, it's a free-to-play account, but it's relatively developed, and I still have to use pieces that don't make a set. I would love for this to be a perception headpiece and a perception chest, but I don't have them on my account yet. But what I do now have is feral gear. So if I could fill one of these slots or fill one of these slots on a different champion, I would be able, if I just used one piece, to get a free 40 accuracy on my champion. That's a big deal early on. Now, in this particular piece that I rolled, it has speed and defense percent. Well, usually you want survivability on your debuffers, and you're going to want speed. Now, I didn't get the speed roll, but that might be better than some other gear that has really high accuracy. So you'll see here, this piece got a double roll in accuracy, technically a triple roll because it pre-rolled, that's why it's red, with accuracy as a mythical weapon. And I'm using that piece, but it has no speed. So just imagine for a minute that I had a weapon in the feral set that had speed on it, but no accuracy, but had 40 accuracy. That's what I'm looking for. That huge accuracy number is a big deal. Now, obviously, if I complete the set, I then also get additional speed. If I complete the set further, then I also get another 40 accuracy. But if you think about it in a one-piece situation, it can be really, really beneficial to early on accounts getting that extra 40 accuracy. Again, if we use my helmet analogy, or let's use this shield as an example, I have a little bit of speed, I have a little bit of survivability, and I have a free 40 accuracy without any of these rolls happening. So I get an additional crit damage. Speaking of which, crit damage with 40 accuracy and a little bit of speed and defense could go a long way for a nuker that gets their crit rate from other items, but a nuker that also needs accuracy. There are quite a few nukers that also need accuracy. The first one comes to mind is Newt. You know, obviously I'd have to make up that 13% crit rate somewhere with this shield. Better yet, let's do this. Level this piece up and see what we get. There we go. So we've got speed and resistance. This one piece, if I put this one piece onto a champion, I have speed, resistance, and 40 accuracy. So 34 resistance and 40 accuracy on the same piece of gear. That's a pretty big deal. When you're still in that position of stats over sets, don't sleep on that 40 accuracy on the one piece. I don't want to beat that to death, so we'll kind of end that conversation, but I think the gear is really good if you could think of it in those terms. Obviously, you want to build the whole set, and building the whole set will be great for your debuffer in Arena or anywhere else in the game, but if you can pull it off and just get that one piece, sometimes that's going to boost your accuracy so much more while still allowing you to get other sets going. I think it's a really, really good set, especially for free-to-play early game accounts. So if you have the opportunity to do this, I highly recommend doing it because I think the rewards are pretty dang good since they got buffed. They could be better. They can always be better, but at least we're getting 6-star gear. At least we're getting more fragments. I kind of like the changes, and I think it's worth doing. So now that we've talked about the gear, the rewards, we talked about why you should do Clan Siege, let's talk about how. So, as I said before, in order to get your rewards, you need to win at least one battle, and you need to take the stronghold and win the total points. So, let's kind of break that down a little bit. Winning one battle, either a defense or an attack. Let's start on defense. Because that's where you're going to be spending most of your time in this game mode. And let's talk strategy for defense. Very simple. You have posts, which can have a single bonus applied only to that post. You have magic towers. These magic towers will give bonuses to any post that is connected to via one connection. So, for example, this Magic Tower 2, boosts this defense tower and these 3 posts, but it doesn't boost post 9 because defense tower is between it. Likewise, defense tower 3 boosts this post, this defense tower, and this defense tower, but not post 14 because it doesn't have a direct shot. And then lastly, well, second to last, well, there's 3 more to go. Defense towers. These defense towers have bonuses exclusive to the defense tower. They do not share these bonuses with any nearby posts, and you cannot duplicate these bonuses on other defense towers, meaning I forget what this bonus is. It's irrelevant. For the sake of you understanding how defense towers work, we're going to call this double purple lightning bolt. That's the defense tower bonus. I cannot use, if I use double purple lightning bolt on defense tower 5, I cannot use it on defense tower 3 or defense tower 4. I had to use different bonuses on all 3 defense towers. Same thing with magic towers. I can use green lightning bolt here, but I couldn't use it here, and I couldn't use it here. You can't see I did have a bonus active. It's been deactivated because they took it. We'll talk grander strategy later, but for right now, that's how these work. The other 2 that we have remaining are mana shrines. Mana shrines are basically an area that, if defeated, gives you a bunch of mana for next time and gives you a big point jump. And then the attacking team, when it comes to mana shrines, can rebattle in the mana shrine and gain 4 more mana for themselves for the next siege. These battles do not cost your resources because you only have 3 attacks and 3 reroll attacks, 3 rebattles. Sorry, this rebattle, the purple rebattle, is different from these rebattles. These ones are free. You can do them all, but the rules of champions being reused applies here. So I have used quite a few champions, and my roster is very, very small for the mana shrines now, because I've done 3 of them. The same teams that I used in this mana shrine, I cannot repeat in the rebattle. So the team I used here probably had a champion that I can't reuse, right? And so on and so forth. So my roster gets limited as I get further on. Now on my main account, that's not a problem. I have a deep roster. But on a free-to-play, it's very limiting, and you may not be able to generate as many mana, as much extra mana for yourself as you'd like. But that's part of it. So 1 champion can only be used in attack, including the Mana Shrine rebattles, 2 times per siege. And you'll see that in a little bit more. Let's get back to defense. So the other one is the Stronghold. This is that win condition we talked about, right? If you take Stronghold and win the most points, you win the battle. Strongholds are going to have 12 defenses. Pretty hard to take. You got to get through everything to get to the Stronghold. Plain and simple. The Stronghold does have a bonus if activated, which it's not currently activated. That bonus is from the Magic Shrine. If the bonus is activated, it applies to this layer, which is every single building in here would get the bonus from the Stronghold. It is expensive mana-wise. It would have cost all of the mana from my entire clan to do, which is why we didn't do it. We chose to benefit these smaller towers. And it says per layer. Eventually, this path will open up, and we will have other layers of battle in the future. So this siege will get bigger as we move along. So that's the general consensus of each area. Now, what does this mean for you? Well, you're probably one of 2 types of players. You're a player that has a very weak PvP roster and a player that has a very strong PvP roster. You really need to know what you have. And the only person that can figure that out is you. I tried to help my clan in this. I tried to help them a lot. Unfortunately, there was a lot of, hey, Roadblock, is this okay? Hey, Roadblock, is that okay? Hey, and no disrespect. I told them to do it. It's my own doing. I was very burnt out on trying to figure out every configuration of everybody's roster. The best thing to do, in my opinion, is to do your own research and figure out what you think works best for you. When it comes to placing your defense, keep a couple of things in mind. One, keep the bonuses in mind. So if you look at our defense, you'll see that we're pretty well off. We lost a lot of battles early. This doesn't look great. But they haven't gotten past these two posts, which have this magic yellow sticker on them. They didn't get past this magic tower either. Why is that? Well, we strategized a little bit. I don't mind sharing our strategy with you. But I also want to talk about what we did, and the other team did too, to an extent, to make these teams tougher. So this is my defense team on my main account. And I noticed that post 15 had a condition of defense only. I said, well, I have good defense nukers. I have a Harima, I have Staltus, I've got UDK, who's a very tough defense support, and I have Ragash, who's a decreased defense champion with a stun. I think I got a pretty good roster for this room. So I said, I'm going to take post 15. I'm going to set it for defense only. And they're going to have to come in there with defense-only champions and try to break me. Then I also said, I'm going to make it so I cannot get decreased defended. Well, I think it's only magic champions, right? Magic and force champions. But by the way, I used 3 force champions. So nobody in here could get decreased defense because of this magic tower, right? So I very strategically placed this and said, cool, this is going to be hard to beat, and it was. Three battles, 3 losses for the enemy team. They could not get past this. We did the same thing in post 11. Bonk here came to me and said, hey, I have Frolny, who's an HP champion. Post 11 is HP only. I can put together, I also have Fatalis Blademaster. I can put together a very good HP only team that I think will be hard to beat. And he was right. 5 battles, 5 wins for my man Bonk here. So use the territory to your advantage. There's a flip side to that. If you don't have a good roster, don't turn on the benefits. Give your mana to your clan leader. Don't turn on the benefits. And let him decide what he wants to do with the mana and where else we're going to gain the benefits. You'll see that as I'm the clan leader, I activated these defense towers and these magic towers, and I left everything else alone because everyone donated their mana. Nobody else turned on the settings. I think maybe we had 1 or 2 in here that had settings on. But that's totally fine. It's okay to be cannon fodder here, to an extent. We'll kind of get into that a little bit later. So when you're looking to place your team, look for advantages. This is what good players should do. That's a bad word. I don't like that word. This is what strong players should do. That's a better word. Because just because you didn't get good champions doesn't mean you're not good at Raid Shadow Legends. Always remember that. Strong players get good champions and know what to do with them. As strong players, we were able to set up really, really tough defenses and have held the enemy team off for quite a while. They haven't gotten beyond 1675 in a couple of hours now. Oh, we also locked down Magic Tower 1 with Gnome here. I'm probably saying that. I think this is like a character from something, so I'm sorry if I say that wrong. I'm not familiar with the character. But he won 5 battles as well and protected this magic tower that I didn't even give a bonus to because I didn't care about it. And he was like, I think I can do it. And I was like, go for it. And he did it. Super awesome. Great to hear. That's less florins we have to do in the repair phase. By the way, I'm not going to talk too much about the repair phase because we don't know what it is yet. It hasn't happened. This is day 1 of Clan Siege. If you're looking in this from the future, I hope what I'm saying is relevant. A couple of other notes about my defense and the mana that I spent. My opponent didn't spend any mana at all, except for 250 mana. And I'll show you where they spent that. I don't know if the meta was to save all your mana or if it was to spend your mana like I did, but it made sense to me. I spent it strategically where it made sense. I didn't spend it on this defense tower or this defense tower because I knew they'd be taken. I didn't spend it on the magic towers that I thought would be taken. So I tried to be strategic with how I spent it. I could be wrong about that. So again, grain of salt. I'm not an expert. I'm just sharing with you what we did and what worked for me and what I think will benefit you as a player. So, little side note there. Back to defense. We talked about what strong players can do, but what are weak players supposed to do? Well, that's where it gets a little tricky. The best thing you can do as a weak player is acknowledge the fact that you're a weak player and go to your clan leader and say, where do you want me? My first suggestion would be to place yourself in areas that people can't get to. Now, by the way, if you can't tell on post 1 here, this is actually not an entry point like I thought. Post 2 is an entry point, post 3 and post 5 are entry points. Post 4 and post 1 are not. That tricked me, and I put what was supposed to be an early team in here, and it didn't work. But this is my weaker team. I put it on a post. I didn't spend any mana to try and make it stronger. I just threw my extra champions out in a post, hoping that I would win a battle maybe. But I didn't have high hopes about that team, and obviously it lost. But if you are a weaker player, keep things like post 4, post 9, and post 1 in mind. These offer 0 strategic value in terms of the game. If you look at our attack, notice that 9 and 1 and post 4 we have not touched. There's no strategic value. There's point value. We may touch them eventually, but there was no reason to waste our battles trying to get to the stronghold. There's no point in wasting our battles with the intention that we had of getting to the stronghold on these other posts that didn't matter. They flat out don't matter to get here, and we succeeded in getting here. So keep that in mind. If you're placing a defense team, you can hide them in these areas of unimportance. So even if you lose, what have you gained? You forced somebody, whether they are a good player or a bad player, a strong player or a weak player, you forced them to use one of their limited attacks on an area of the game that doesn't matter, just because you occupied it. Keep that in mind. The enemy team put relatively strong teams here. This is in a 333 player power. That's a little intimidating. Again, 257 Arbiter lead. We'll talk about auras in a second because that was a mistake by them. But you got an unkillable here. You've got potentially a Stone Skin Death Knight. Like, you don't know what this could be. We avoided it. We said, not for me. And it worked out, obviously. So that is where, if you're a weaker player, you should put your teams. But also, don't be afraid to place your teams behind somebody. An important note when it comes to these groups, when you go to beat these groups, you do it in order, and you cannot see the teams below them. So if I was attacking here, I would fight this team, but I wouldn't see Denny or Jesse's team. So you could hide a weaker team under there for easy win. What you shouldn't do, and by the way, this happened on accident. This was a reserve team that got placed here because not everyone in my clan placed their teams. And by the way, place your teams. Don't let this happen to you. But these are our weaker teams, weaker players on the account. They're newer, they're maybe free to play, or maybe they don't have as much experience or gear. There's a lot of different reasons, but these particular players in my clan were weaker. Now, I had no intention of doing anything special for Defense Tower 2, but this is still an important place, which is why I say check with your clan leader, because this is a choke point to Mana Shrine 2. You don't really want to give them a free 500 victory points. So you don't want to make it as easy as we did. This was simply a miscommunication in my clan. So keep that in mind when you're placing your teams. But if there's a really, really good team up here, then you could hide a weaker team below it. Over here on Magic Tower 1, Cookie is not weak by any means. He has a good roster, but this is not maybe his starting team. But here we have this really, really good team that defended 5 times. They don't even know that this team looks like this. They don't even know there's 145 player or team power below this monster defense team. So that's pretty cool, right? Like, they don't know what it is. And I think it's important to think about where you could put somebody. Now, always check with your clan leader beforehand. They may have a strategy and you don't want to mess it up. Before Clan Siege started, like the first day it came out, I said, don't place any teams. I had people take this Magic Tower. I had plans for that Magic Tower. This Magic Tower, I had plans for it. And this defense tower, I had plans for it. And they just put their friggin' 100 player power team or 100 team power teams in there. And I'm like, no. And they were not active in my Discord. They were not active in the clan chat. And I kicked them for it because, like, that's not cool. Like, you just throw your stuff willy-nilly and say whatever. We were taking this seriously. We were trying in this. So always check with your clan leader. One thing I will say, if the clan leader cares, check with them. I will say, present it in a way. Don't go to your clan leader and say, hey, here's my roster. What should I do? And I know a lot of people watching this are members of my clan, and they're probably feeling attacked. Pretty much every single one of you guys did it. As a clan leader, it is impossible for me to understand the intricacies of rosters and gear on every single person's account. At some point, you have to have an understanding of your account and knowledge of the game and say, I think this is a good defense. If you think it's a good defense, fine. If I know you're a weak player, I've looked at your account, I've given you guidance on an area of the game, and you say, I think this is a good team, and I want to put this team in one of the most crucial defense points in the thing, I'm going to tell you no. But make sure you're checking with your clan leaders to try and give yourselves the best opportunity to win. Okay? I think I touched on it, but yeah, I think, okay, I'm just making sure. So I've recorded this twice now, and I'm just running through my thoughts, making sure I have touched on everything I want to touch on as far as defense goes in this. So, I think I've touched on everything. We're going to move on. If you guys have any questions, let me know in the comments. I will reply to you. I'll even make a follow-up video if I have to fill you guys in on anything else, okay? Let's move on to the attack phase now and talk about what you should do as an attack. The most important thing to do as attack is to have patience. I'm going to show you a couple of things that happened on our attack phase. So if you look here at post 7, they had 2 defenses here. And this player, with all due respect to them, was very clearly outmatched by the team that they were going up against. Likewise, over here on post 8, which is the only mana that they spent to get this Banner Lords only, we had people... they just ran in. They Leroy Jenkins this thing and just ran in. And all due respect, this video is for every type of player. So you may obviously know this, but it wasn't obvious to somebody in my clan. So you can cancel a battle and keep your resources. If you go in and you click battle, it'll take you to a new screen that looks like a live arena screen almost. There's an X on the top right. You can cancel. Not shaming anybody, not trying to offend anybody. This is a fact. You can do it. If you didn't know it, now you do. So, as far as attack, be patient. If you are a weak player, which with all due respect, guys in here are kind of weak players. I think they would say that themselves. Don't just jump into the first battle. Now, as we analyzed the landscape and we kind of looked at what was going on, again, you can only start from post 2, post 3, and post 5. We started to realize, okay, let's look at the teams. I wanted to kick things off. I used my free-to-play because I knew my main account, I'm going to want to use that for the tougher fights. So I used my free-to-play. I know how my account works, and I looked at how the teams were placed that I could fight. I said, this team has no speed. I have lots of speed. I win fight. And I did. I did the same thing here with post 3. Now, in this case, you can only use, again, maybe I haven't said this yet, but you can only use on attack one champion 2 times. So in this particular case, I used, I think it's my Armands the second time. Yes. So somebody told me, hey, it was great advice. I did this live on stream. They said, hey, why don't you split them? Why don't you split your Armands and your Sun Wukong, right? And so I did that. I took Arbiter Armands. I brought them in here because I knew I have a UDK. I could use a Sun Wukong and a UDK. We'll talk about it in a second. And I said, cool, I have a faster aura. By the way, guys, the speed, auras in Clan Siege, arena auras do not work. The enemy clan did not know that. And I will prove it to you because I'm sure many of you will say, that's not true. They're totally supposed, this is arena. It's not. Right here, this is off Discord in the official Raid Shadow Legends Discord. We received many questions from you regarding the champions' auras and how they will work in Siege, just as in the case with any other in-game location that doesn't have its specific aura. In Siege, players will be able to use only all battles aura. So, this aura, Mr. Panda, doesn't work. Your team was slower because I had a 20% aura and you had 0. So keep that in mind. You can do a lot of damage to yourself if you're using the wrong auras in a battle. So I used Razelvarg, who's not built for PvP, but I used him for his aura, and I basically just controlled the fight with Armands because I knew they were going to be a lot slower than what they expected to be. And my Armands is pretty fast for my account relative to player power, all that kind of stuff. So I kind of stole that win a little bit. The other area that I ended up winning was post 6. And again, here, I used the second half of that team. I used my Armands, and I used my UDK, and I basically said, this team can kill my, I said Armands, my Sun Wukong, and my UDK. And I basically said, this team can kill my Sun Wukong. He's just going to come back to life, and they can't kill my UDK, which was true. The other thing, too, is that their really only threat was Rhonda, and she died in the first round to, like, a decreased defense debuff. It was, no, to my Razelvarg, actually, who, he is built for damage, but not in the arena. No, he doesn't have any ignore defense mechanics or gear. So I was like, oh, wow, she was really squishy. So keep that stuff in mind. So that's what I did on attack. Don't do what my other kind of weaker players did and just jump right in and lose. And you may be thinking, well, you're going to have to fight sometime, and you're absolutely right. But you know what can happen? This can happen. So check this out. I'm assuming these were auto-populated, but both of these teams were auto-populated by all level 50 and 60s and all level 50s. So 2 guys on my clan that have respectfully no business fighting any of these other fights that I've shown you today were able to get their wins. And remember, you need to have 1 attack win or 1 defense win in order to get rewards. You cannot guarantee the defense win, because if they can't get to you or they don't decide to go your route, then you won't get that win. But the attack win, that's all in your control. So know your rosters, know your enemy, what champions can do. understand how the game works, and come up with a strategy before you take them on. You have such an advantage doing this. We don't do that enough in regular arena. We kind of just look at it, and I know for me, I just go from the top down and hope I get wins, right? And set it on auto battles and set it and forget it. But here, you're only talking 3 battles. Give it a little extra brain power and try to come up with some strategies. So for me, where did I end up? Was it post 11? Yeah. So for post 11, I said, okay, they've got a Hegemon. Probably pretty quick. Well, sorry, Hegemon's going to go first. I'll use my go second team, or a portion of it. So I went ahead and said, instead of using my best go second guys, like my UDK and my Pythion, I was like, I have a rebattle. Let's test this team. Let's see what they got, right? Because I do have a rebattle. So I came in here with just a bunch of defense champions and a stone skin Mortu Macabre. They don't have a way of stealing any buffs from me. So I felt like my stone skin Mortu Macabre was safe. He was, spoiler. And obviously I won pretty handedly. I actually beat this team with my Ragash. He kind of just killed them all very early, and Mortu only got 1 turn. He did proc Peril, for those of you that know what that means. So I was satisfied in the fact that I got to hit that Peril, but very, very easy. Kind of a waste of my, I would say, team, but, you know, we really had to get through this post, and this gave us a bunch of intel. By defeating this post, we were able to see what post 10 was, what post 15 was, what Magic Tower 2 was, what Defense Tower, you know. I was like, I'll put my team out there, and we can find more fights to take. And so that's what we did. Then we continued to push up to Defense Tower 5. I also fought here. I saw this team. This could be deceptive. This could be a very, very fast team. Because it could be a very, very fast team, I said, okay, I'm going to assume they're going to go first. So what can I do to kind of deal with that? Well, the other thing that I noticed is they had Unkillable. Rotos counters Unkillable. So I brought Rotos. And sure enough, it happened that way. Their Arbiter went first. Their Emic taunted and put Unkillable on the whole team. I knew the Genbo could not one-shot my Rotos because his AoE hit is a single hit, and Rotos can't be reduced more than 50% per hit. So my Rotos survived. He one-shot the Emic and then killed second the Arbiter, and then I think I crowd-controlled Genbo with Lady Mikage. But again, I went into it with a strategy. I said, oh, I'm going to do this, and I have a rebattle. So if this strategy doesn't work, I'll do another strategy. Right? So what the advice I have for you is on attack, think about what you're doing beforehand, and don't just throw in Arena Team 4 or Arena Team 2. Pick a team, manual it, and win that fight. Then finally on the Stronghold, this was my other fight that I did. All the way down here, I said, that's a speed team, definitely. Right? You've got 2 of the speed queens right here. And then they had an anti-speed as well in Tormund. So I just put my traditional go second team. This is my arena go second team. UDK in the lead. Mortu Macabre, both of these in stone skin. Pythion in full stone skin. And then Harima. And I was nervous because this guy can ignore stone skin, but Harima mitigated his damage enough. He hit like a wet noodle. We were fine. Easiest win I probably had by a long shot, even that more so than the one where Ragash accidentally killed everybody before by more than 2. But and you know, that was our strategy. We worked our way into the Stronghold. Once we did that, we pivoted and we went ahead and took the Mana Shrine too. I've touched on this already, but rebattling, you can do your rebattles in here to get more mana. You will be limited in your roster usage, so I cannot use any of the champions I just talked about on this free-to-play account. Can't use Armands, can't use Sun Wukong, can't use UDK, because again, only 2 battles, and that includes these rebattles. Some of them were used in these rebattles. I only used UDK once. I used him in one of these rebattles. So, but 2 times total, including these rebattles. So keep that in mind. If you have a fewer champions on your roster, that may impact you when you get into the mana shrines. But no big deal. You're just losing a little bit of mana for the next fight. Taking the shrine in general is more important because you get a big boost to your points, as you can see that we did here. We've got a 2,000 point lead right now. 1,250 of it came from taking their stronghold. I think I touched on this, but yeah, if you're a weaker player, be patient, but also look for an opportunity where you can win. So there was a point where I said, was it this Magic Tower? No, I think it was Mana Shrine 2, Group 2. Yeah, I looked at this team and I said, hey, guys, that's not a very good team. They've got no speed, Aura, and yes, it's a lot of defense, but I don't know. I think you guys can beat that. Now, Mards, one of my stronger players, ended up beating it, but like, look for this kind of stuff. This is just a really like weird team. You don't have speed. You have a self buff, increased defense. You've got a Newt who's not really known for PvP. I guess they're using him as a weekend champion, but this just looked pretty easy to me. I told my team, hey, why don't you go ahead and target that? Again, we have a very easy team here, right? No speed lead, pretty low team power, probably not very strong. One of my, we beat that with a blue, with a rare, right? So this is what I'm talking about. Look for these fights. If you're a little bit weaker, like Freak, who I think would admit to himself that he's maybe not the strongest account, you can come in and take on these weaker teams and get that win so you can get your rewards. It was quite an adventure. It was quite fun. It's not over yet. And I did already touch on, I think, but they didn't use any of their mana. None of these shrines, these defense towers, none of these magic towers and defense towers had any mana other than post 8. So, if you're a strong player, I don't know that Panda is very strong in their team, but he had a decent enough roster that he took, some of my guys out. Maybe don't put it on the post that you can be completely bypassed, and maybe put it on one that has a bigger choke point. Now, granted, he may have said, well, I just have really good Banner Lords, but at the end of the day, we just walked right by them. So our official path was 5, 1, post 5, defense tower 1, post 6, post 12, post 11, post 15, defense tower 5, and then the stronghold. And so we just went like that. That avoided these 2 relatively strong posts. That really didn't do anything. So post 11 and post 15, I think, are very valuable. If you're looking for grand strategy, keep those in mind. I think I've touched on it on defense. Everything's become a blur today, but we put very, very strong teams in those posts. And so far, they have not been able to breach any of our biggest defenses that we've set up on the account. So keep that in mind as well. As a strong player, you may not want to waste your resources early on either. If there is a team, it's like this one where my free-to-play account won, that saved my main account team for the stronghold and the defense tower, which are probably 2 of the more critical defenses, right? So they probably had strong teams there, and we were able to use our stronger attackers because we didn't have to get through very strong stuff early on. So I hope this advice helps you guys. I feel like I have left out so much because A, I'm tired, and B, I already recorded this. Um, so if you have any questions, if I need to do a follow-up video, please feel free to let me know in the comments. I was very looking forward to recording this video. I like doing these detailed explanations and kind of giving people eye-opening ideas and what they can do with their teams and what they can't do with their teams and different strategies and stuff like that. So I love this kind of stuff. I hope I helped you understand Clan Siege a little bit better. If I got anything wrong, let me know in the comments. If you have questions, like I said, let me know in the comments. Just let me know. I love making this type of content, and I want to continue doing it. So I can only get better if you guys help me get better. Thank you so much for watching. If you like this content, I try to make this as often as I can. Please consider subscribing. That will help me out and helps me kind of grow the channel. Gets me a little bit more notoriety within the community. I think that's kind of like the barrier to entry when it comes to the higher channels. You know, if you want to see me mingling with Ash and Hell Hades, I gotta have a higher subscriber count. You know, they can look at it and say, oh, this guy offers a whole bunch of subscribers, let me go do a collab with him, right? Maybe I can get some of those over my way, that kind of stuff, right? So the more subscribers I have, the better my channel can grow. As for this video, if you liked the content, please consider liking it, because that is going to help promote it, you know, algorithmically. And leave a comment letting me know you liked it, because that's also going to help promote it and get more eyeballs here. Maybe a member of your clan who isn't in your Discord will see this video and put up a better team for you and help you win your future Clan Siege. So thank you all for watching. Again, I hope this helps, and I will see you in my next video.